Okay, so today we're going to be talking about reducing greenhouse gas emissions at UNC Asheville. My name is Lindsay Nystrom. I'm a Rachel Carson Council Fellow, and I'm studying environmental equity at UNC Asheville.
And I'm Allison Ormsby. I'm a lecturer in environmental studies at UNC Asheville and also interim co-director of sustainability. So we're all aware that we have a problem with climate change and that greenhouse gases are rising in our atmosphere. And so at a campus level, we were trying to determine what are UNC Asheville's campus greenhouse gas emissions and what initiatives might UNC Asheville take to mitigate these emissions. For example, through designing and implementing a campus climate action plan. And just to give a little bit of context, UNC Asheville is one of the 17 campuses in the UNC system in North Carolina. We have 3,600 students. We are a certified B campus as well as a certified tree campus. The campus is 395 acres. We do have solar on one building only at the moment. And we have sustainability infused through our dining and our residence halls. And one example of another feature is ground source heat pump on two of our, the quad and the mini quad. And this is showing our B hotel as you enter campus.
So in spring of 2020, a course called Communicating Climate Change put together a small group of students who developed a draft of our climate action plan. So what does that mean? The entire point of the course was to help communicate with non-specialists and specialists about how important climate change or mitigating climate change is. And so our final project was the development of this climate action plan. This this draft is still in the works. That small group of students continued to work throughout the course, and then some of them stayed on. I'm working on this because I'm a fellow with the Rachel Carson Council, and that fellowship program helps students around the country work on climate action on their campuses. And so I stayed doing this work throughout the past year or so, and helped with student involvement and organizing, and worked to get really the student body on board with the carbon commitment and help to understand what climate action looks like on our campus.
Great. So in order to measure our greenhouse gas emissions, which is one of the requirements if we were to sign the carbon commitment, which Lindsay just mentioned was a year-long initiative to try to get us to sign. So over the past summer, in summer of 2020, I worked with a student, Kelsey Hall, who took on doing a greenhouse gas inventory for campus as an undergraduate research project. And so we entered that data into SciMap, which is a database used by the signatories of the carbon commitment to track scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions and to create a greenhouse gas inventory. So for example, a scope 3 emission is waste and wastewater. So we had data going back to 2015, and we're still trying to track this every fiscal year. So we got a good start on it in the summer of 2020. And then here are our initial results. Like I said, the data goes back to 2015. We found that scope 2 made up the largest proportion, not unexpectedly, because that's our purchased electricity. In North Carolina, we're purchasing it from Duke Energy. But the other scope 1 and 3 emissions are incomplete at this time because we still need to get a little bit more data. For example, scope 1 stationary fuels, we need to get a better handle on our transportation and fuel use. And then scope 3, we were able to measure study abroad emissions, solid waste and wastewater, but we haven't yet tracked commuting or other transport greenhouse gas emissions, say from faculty attending conferences. So we're going to be working on that now. And just another way to look at the data, our campus is doing very well on energy use per building square foot. So that's been trending down over the years, and we're one of the highest performing campuses in the UNC system. But on the other hand, the energy use per capita or by student is trending slightly up. So over time, we're going to have to keep working on reducing our carbon footprint, and the climate action plan will help us decide what steps to take to try to reverse that trend.
So we officially signed on to the carbon commitment this in March 30th of 2021. It was like Allison said, a year-long process. We had presentations to the Board of Trustees beforehand and to the Sustainability Council. There was a letter writing campaign from students voicing their support for the carbon commitment. And there was many Zoom meetings and talks and really conversations about how to best do this. And so we officially signed on amidst a sustainability fair, which helped to showcase all of the great sustainable actions on campus from many different groups. And the student support really came across the board. The athletes helped out, the student government, many different clubs and organizations. And it really was a full-fledged campaign that was really, really cool to see. So as we're moving forward, this is a 30-year commitment. So which is in line with the UNC mandate for climate change mitigation and renewable energy. So our climate action plan is separated into short, medium, and long-term goals. Short is from 2020 to 2030, medium is 2030 to 2040, and long-term is 2040 to 2050. So we are hoping to get our climate action plan approved by the Sustainability Council this fall. And that's a living document, so it will be updated every 2 years. And our university's carbon neutral date is 2050. And just a couple examples of some of the things that we could do on campus. So I developed this bike map or bike infrastructure map, which basically shows what resources we have on campus for biking or for cyclists. And one thing that we've talked about is proposing a new bike lane or connecting bike lanes, adding bike racks, and really making the campus more accessible. And then another project that's in our climate action plan is proposed solar panels on top of buildings on campus. We do have solar panels on one building or on campus already, but we are hoping to get more in the next decade or so.
Great. So that brings us to our conclusion and our next steps. So the goal of this effort, which was both the summer research project, but also the class and then the follow-up grassroots-based organizing to get the carbon commitment signed, we wanted to understand how at a campus level we can respond to climate change, because campuses together across the country do represent a lot of energy use. And here at UNC Asheville, we can figure out how to address it and lower our carbon footprint to the point of being carbon neutral by 2050. And so now that we've signed the carbon commitment, there's a few other things that are required. Like Lindsay said, we're finalizing the draft of the climate action plan for hopeful approval in the fall. And then also we need to develop some curriculum connections with different classes across the campus. We already have a lot of faculty working on the topic of climate change, doing research and incorporating classes, but we need to do that on a more systematic level. And we want to acknowledge so many people on campus that helped us over this more than a year process. In campus operations, we want to thank Jackie Hampstead and Dan Grissant, and then many other campus departments that provided the data and will continue to provide data as we do this annual greenhouse gas inventory. We want to thank all the faculty and students that helped us, in particular student Kelsey Hall, but also all the clubs that Lindsay mentioned. It really was a widespread effort and it's ongoing. And there's Rocky the Bulldog also saying thank you. So we hope, we hope you'll join us for our conversation during the live part of the conference. Thanks for your interest.
Thank you.